Mr. Chairman, and that is an issue that we did have hearings on in the Technology and Terrorism Subcommittee of Judiciary. And as a matter of fact, part of the Visa Reform and Border Security Act deals with tightening the myriad of loopholes that exist in the foreign student program. If you have any other recommendations, I, for one, as the chair of that subcommittee, would love to have them, because we're going to be holding an oversight on progress with respect to terrorism in that area. But I wanted to ask you, Mr. Bowman, if I might, this question, just quickly following up on Senator Levin's question. As I understand it, then, the FBI's national security lawyers essentially use the wrong standard of designated group, ergo Chechen, not on the list, ergo not designated, rather than any group. And some 3 weeks was taken in that endeavor. And then I think Senator Levin asked the question, well, how many other FISA requests went through the same thing? Is the answer there was no other FISA this was the only FISA request that happened to encounter that kind of false standard?
Two different parts of your question, Senator. First of all, no one in the national security law arena said that the Chechens were not a power that could be that could qualify as a foreign power under the FISA statute. The issue that came to us was whether there was any foreign power to which you could attach Moussaoui, and we did not see that. The second part of your question was whether there are others who have been given an erroneous standard, whether there were other FISAs that did not come to us because there was an erroneous standard. I don't know what I don't know. This is the only time that I have heard that advice was actually given that you don't have you don't have a foreign power because there isn't a recognized one. That certainly is not what we train them to.
Just a suggestion, it might be well to take a look and see if there are others. It would be interesting to know. I wanted to make an observation and see if the agents couldn't comment on the observation. The Phoenix memo essentially happened during the month of July. I remember that month very well because we in the Senate were having hearings. The intelligence so-called chatter was at a high. The anticipation was that the United States was going to experience, either here or abroad, on our interests or our people, some kind of attack. There was a real sense of alert, and I think other members of the committee shared this sense as well. And I think it was well known out there. Now, into this comes this memo, and I've read it several times, which is thorough, which is well documented, which contains good investigative leads. Additionally, from an intelligence perspective, UBL and that organization had been, we learn, on the front burner, the highest administrative priority since about 1999. And yet the memo, which went up then procedures to then at least 5 different people, it didn't apparently strike anybody with any sense of urgency to take another look. Despite what everybody says, I find that interesting. And my question to you is, other than a strategic analytic unit, which I understand the Phoenix agent is a substantial lacking in the FBI today. Other than that, did you have any strong feeling, because you've said you felt like you were kind of an isolated person in Phoenix, to just get it on the desk of the FBI director, get it to somewhere else, because you had done a lot of work on this memo. This wasn't just, you know, off the cuff. This was a substantial research, a lot of expertise. There was a lot of history and a lot of the names and various pilots' names and that kind of thing that were mentioned. So is FBI protocol such that if you have within yourself as an agent a real belief that I have something important and it doesn't get a response, can't you simply go above that chain of command and get it on the desk of the heads of the agencies?
Well, Senator, to answer your question, I refer you back to the communication. I sent it in routine. And the reason why I sent it in routine was because I did not see any, at that time, any immediate action required. There was no immediate threat information required in there. Basically, what I wanted was an analytical product. I wanted this discussed with the intelligence community. I wanted to see if my hunches were correct. But I'm also a realist. I understand that the people at FBI headquarters are terribly overworked and understaffed, and they have been for years. And at the time that I'm sending this in, having worked this stuff for 13 years and watched the unit in action over these years, I knew that this was going to be at the bottom of the pile, so to speak, because they were dealing with real-time threats, real-time issues, trying to render fugitives back to the United States from overseas for justice. And again, it's a resource issue.
Did you know of the intelligence that was circulating? Did you know that Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda were in the high priority of intelligence and the administration
I
all across the board?
I knew they were, ma'am. I had just gotten back to work in international terrorism. I had been detailed for several months to work an arson investigation in the Phoenix area, and multi-task force arson investigation that involved the destruction and burning down of numerous homes in high-dollar areas in the Phoenix metro area. And we believed at the time that these were taking place, that they could be eco-terrorists. I was a senior counterterrorism agent assigned to the squad, and my command made the decision to assign me to work on that matter. After spending approximately 6 months on that, I worked that from June 2000 roughly to, December 2000 through May, June 2001. I got back to working my international terrorism cases. And so I wasn't in the loop on all of the chatter that you refer to concerning the intelligence chatter and whatnot. But after getting back into the case and recognizing the things that I point out in the communication, that's what led me to write it and send it up the food chain.
Thank you.